Miggity miggity mic check 1 2 1 2. I am your host. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining me. The Hawaii Comedy with James Mane podcast, talk show, whatever you want to call it. I was actually thinking of changing to Hawaii Comedy Podcast with James Mane because that makes more sense. I keep saying Hawaii Comedy with James Mane podcast. So that means my name is part of it. So like if I want to say Hawaii Comedy with James Mane show with James Mane. Hawaii Comedy with James Mane podcast and your host James Mane. So I think I should change it. It sounds much better that way. Like, welcome to the Hawaii Comedy Podcast with James Mane. Maybe that's why I was messing it up all this time, trying to figure out what am I going to call it. Why do I keep messing it up? What am I going to say? Why do I keep forgetting the name of the podcast that I created and gave the name to? Doesn't make any sense. Anyways, good morning. Special time, special episode, because our guest today is coming to us from the mainland. So we got to make adjustments because of time zone differences. But before we bring him in, I want to remind you guys, those of you watching live, today is the first day. Today's Thursday, right? Yeah. The first day of the Aloha Comedy Festival 2022 starts today. And it starts at 3 p.m. at a free meet and greet at Queen Kapiolani Hotel. I guess the place is called Deck because it's on their deck. I don't know what floor it is, but I think they have like a lookout. A deck kind of looks out and over the zoo and part of the beach and Diamond Head. I'll be there. I know a few comics are going to be there. Graham Elwood's going to meet me there. I'm sure Patrick Tyrell will be there. I'm pretty sure Jose Dynamite will be there. I think Paul Ogata might be there. I know he's flying in today. He's performing at Hawaii Theater Friday night, tomorrow night. Yeah, trying to figure out where I'm at. So Paul Ogata's performing tomorrow night at the Hawaii Theater. Get your tickets. There's still tickets available. I think the VIP passes for the whole weekend might have sold out. I think last time I checked, there was either 1 or 3 left. There's still the day passes, so you can still save on getting the bracelet, the wristband, which is a full day. So you can get either Fridays or Saturday. I think that is $20 for a full day. There's 25 shows in 3 days, all in downtown Honolulu. So go check it out, alohacomedyfestival.com. It ends on Sunday, where you can go down and hang out with some of the comedians that performed in the Aloha Comedy Festival at Wet n Wild Water Park. That's Sunday, Wet n Wild. I think it starts around noon. Not sure if I'm going to make it. I'm going to try. I'll be on Maui Saturday performing with Tumua Tuine at the MAC, Castle Theater. So a lot of comedy going on. 25 shows, Aloha Comedy Festival. I perform tonight, 7:30 at Next Door and 9:30 at Manifest. So get your tickets. See you guys tonight, or meet us at the meet and greet. It's free. I mean, shoot, why not? We all want free. I like free. If you don't like free, then you might be a little off. But if hit up Patrick Tyrell on Instagram, DM him to see if he has any more of those VIP passes, because they're worth it. You $50 and you get to go to every show that you would like to go to. So do that. Aloha Comedy Festival. I have problems with saying these websites. I should write it down or something. So unprofessional of me. All right. Let me just stop talking and start the show already. What do you say?
Live from the middle of the Pacific Ocean, it's Hawaii Comedy. With your host, James Money.
Island days, clear blue water, and mountain ranges and dancing daughters. I can't get enough of these island days. Won't you take me back to Honolulu? Yeah, that surf is high and I am too. Sing songs all night long. I live in these island days. Oh, they told me not to fall in love, but I just could not help myself. Oh, I missed my flight again. I was sleeping here with my new friend. Oh, yeah. Island days, clear blue water, and mountain ranges and beautiful daughters. Yeah, I can't get enough of these island days.
Man, I got the room shaking with that music. Oh, thank you so much, Tavana, for that beautiful music. You guys can check out Tavana at Tavana808.com. I think he's performing this weekend, so go to his website, find out where he's performing, check him out. Also, want to give a shout out to the people that made this beautiful shirt that I'm wearing. This is from OahuGolfApparel.com. So you got... the thing I like about it is that they make it my size. This is a 6 extra large. Yes, I wear 6 extra large shirts. I'm a pretty big dude. It's very comfortable. It's stylish. And for somebody my size, tend to sweat a lot. This actually is really cool shirt. Like, air just blows right through it. Go ahead and make Oahu Golf Apparel a part of your game. Visit them at OahuGolfApparel.com. All right. Before we get started, I always want to give out this phone number to those of you that are watching or even listening. We're going through a lot of, struggles and this, people go through a lot of mental health issues. If you're thinking about hurting yourself, please don't. Before you make any decisions, call our friends at the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-TALK. That's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. All right? You never know. It might be a friend that you might need to help out. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us in this morning. And I almost said Aloha Friday, but it's actually Aloha Thursday. Allow me to bring on my guest, who is an actor. My goodness, he wears a ton of hats. He's an actor. He's a writer. He's a storyteller. He's a comedian, and he's a podcaster. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the Hawaii Comedy Podcast with James Mane, Mr. Gianmarco Soresi.
Hello. How are you doing?
Good. It's good to meet you, man.
Good to meet you too.
Yeah. Oh, you got the same hairstyle I have when I wake up. It's kind of just
Sure.
out.
Listen, I'm thankful for it. I felt I just started to bald a little, and I had a guy friend who sat me down. I didn't know what he was about to tell me, and he said, "Hey, I noticed the top a little bit of." So I got the spray. Hims, I think is the company, and I don't know how it works, but I think it's working. But I'm very thankful for my hair. I don't know if you have hair underneath there, but I'm very grateful for what I have. Oh, beautiful. How long is your hair?
Oh,
Okay. Very nice. We got to be grateful.
there we go.
we don't know when this stuff is going to go away.
So what happened with me was I had a problem with that spot up here as well, because you look pretty tall in your video, so I'm 6'7".
Oh my God, you're 6'7"?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that is a 6'6" XL shirt. 7.
Yeah.
My God.
So when I wash the dishes, the sink is low for me, so I have to like hunch over to wash the dishes. So what I do is I put my head on the cupboard and I lean on it like that. And then I started to get a little like,
Yeah.
gap here. And people were saying, "Hey, are you going bald?" Not too many people can see on top of my head unless they're upstairs. But
Sure.
some people was pointing it out, and I was like, "Oh, I better stop doing that." So
that happens. My friend has a baby right now, and the baby has like a bald spot on the back, and I guess it's because the baby's always lying down. But for a second, God damn, your baby sucks already. That sucks.
The baby's balding right off the bat. It's like he came out with little hair, and now he's going bald. Just want to say, hit the comedy corner, comedy crew here. Johnny Rocks Hollywood says, "Good morning."
Is that what that means?
Yeah, I was going to translate for you. Aloha kakahiaka means good morning. So, good morning, Johnny Rocks Hollywood.
Aloha kakihaka.
Hey, that's pretty good. Go ahead and try it again. There you go. Can you see it there?
Yeah, aloha kakihaka.
Boom! Look at you. You come down and you can get local discounts now. You're pretty much, as we say, kama'aina. So, all right. So, did I say it right? Gianmarco?
I'm looking at that now. I was just trying to get in, and now it says GM. That's nothing. That's nothing. Oh my God! I really fucked up.
Good morning is what it means.
Morning. That's right. That's good morning.
Yeah, that's okay because I got the ticker going. It has your whole name there and all your Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. The cool thing is because your name is so unique, you don't have to add like comedian. Like my name James, it's pronounced Mane, but it looks like James Maine. There's other people with that name, so when I try to do social media, I always have to add. Before I would suggest like James Mane 475, whatever numbers. So when I add comedian, then it sticks. But you would think it's a unique name, but it's not.
Sure.
Yeah. In fact, it's actually another James Maine, I'm assuming. No, actually Mane. I don't know if you follow soccer, but there's a Liverpool player whose last name is spelled the same way and pronounced the same way, Mane. He's from Senegal. I guess that's where that name comes from because there's a James Mane from Senegal. And I'm like, whoa. Maybe that's where my roots are from. I'm not Samoan. I'm Senegalese. Okay, so Gianmarco Soresi.
Yes, perfect. Beautiful.
I was practicing. I was like, okay, so I gotta get it right. Started ordering my from talking to people at Domino's Pizza, but they don't get it. They just not. Found out the hard way. There's no Italians that work at Domino's Pizza.
Are there Italians in Hawaii?
There are, but I wouldn't say that there's Italian neighborhoods like New York. I'm assuming you're from New York City?
I'm from Maryland originally, and I've been in New York for about a decade. I consider New York home. And then I was just in Hawaii for the first time. My friend got married there. He had a lot of friends and family. He's half Hawaiian. And he had his parents owned some house that was featured on a Japanese reality show called The House. I think it was called The House. And it's like a beautiful house in Honolulu. So wonderful. You were born in Hawaii?
I was actually born in American Samoa, which is south, like 5-hour flight south from here. But I was raised here since I was 8 months old.
I gotta go.
Oh, here we go. The comedy crew speaking here. It's called Terrace House.
Terrace House. That's it. I stayed at the Terrace House, and it was very stressful because all the floors are pristine white, and we went hiking. In Honolulu, I forget the name of the trail. Starts with a K. cacao.
They all start with a K, just so you know.
We were gonna go hiking on this one. Uh, uh, we said the name to our waiter at breakfast, and she was like, "Oh, you're gonna go hiking on the Stairway of Doom?" And I was like,
Cocoa Head.
not anymore." So we did a different one, and it was very scary. It was tough. I wanted a tough hike, and this was. I mean, my girlfriend fell multiple times. Cocoa Head. Thank you so much. Your listeners know everything. I had such a good time, man. The wedding was in so Honolulu is where we landed, and then the wedding was in Maui. Oh my God! And the wedding, they did it outside with the ocean as the backdrop. Really is incredible. Where you live.
How long ago was this?
This was like in August, last August,
Oh.
last October. No, last October or November, something like that. Stunning, beautiful wedding.
It was kind of when I guess Delta was coming, the COVID was coming down, and things started opening up.
I brought the new variant there. I spread it all around Hawaii, and I'm the reason.
They did say it came from New York, so aha.
Sure. It's always New York's fault. Everyone flies through us. You guys were very strict because you guys have a high vaccination rate there, right? It's like a good. Or
Well,
not.
it's not compared to California. I think in August, we were like close to 70%.
I mean, that's pretty good. I think.
Yeah, for the rest of the country, yeah. But again, I think we always look at California as our gauge, and California was 70% like a long time ago.
I just remember for me, it seemed a little silly. I did an outdoor show when I was there, and they still had like the hunk of plexiglass in front of you on the stage. And I'm like, first of all, there's 3 audience members. They're all sitting as far away as they can. I don't even think they came here for the show. We're outside, and there's plexiglass. That was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah, we recently, I would say maybe in the fall, got rid of that plexiglass, and so we're performing now without the glass, and things are opening up, and you can get full capacity for places, it just got weird. If you had less than 1,000 people in a room, you can have full capacity. If you have a theater that has over, maybe like 3,000, then you can only go half capacity.
That's tough because I only really perform in 3,000 seat theaters now, and it's been a tough time.
It's a deal breaker.
It's a deal breaker.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool that you got to come down here and perform. Maui, I would say as far as like what most people in the States when they come down to visit, picture Hawaii to look like. Not so much Honolulu.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't explore enough to really like get a full sense. Everyone told me to watch White Lotus. I haven't seen it yet, but I am curious, like how much of my vision of what Hawaii is based on just the tourism industry, and how much the tourism industry did kind of become a reality in and of itself. It's a very interesting. I've been working on a bit. I haven't figured it out yet, but when you fly to Hawaiian Airlines, which was a very good airlines, they play a video as you get closer to the island that like welcomes you, and it's a woman in a hula skirt. Like, here we say aloha, and then a chef like try the roast pig. Someone's planning. And it was really beautiful, and I'm like, they need to make a video for the plane ride back to New York City, where it's just a homeless guy like, New York City, don't make eye contact. We're known for our street meat, but remember, don't eat it. And then he starts jerking off like, make eye contact. And I'm working on that chunk, still fine tuning it. But I got a couple bits from Hawaii. It was a really, that's how I know it was a good trip. If I got a couple jokes out of it.
Well, that's pretty much, I guess, as a comedian, where anywhere you go, you're looking for that opportunity to be like, oh, this is gonna go in the notebook. This is gonna go on stage. And
the food was tough for my girlfriend there. She's Jewish. I'm Jewish, but she grew up Orthodox, and so she doesn't eat any kind of pork. Doesn't eat any. And that's all I wanted to get while I was there. you know, good pork, and it was a tough food for her. She's allergic to things. It's very challenging.
Yeah, Hawaii's weird that way where a lot of comedians that come down to visit, and I notice have, much different diets as most locals here in Hawaii have. And I'm wondering, like, where do you guys, like, I don't know what to do. Is like, I guess you can just go hiking and find something up there for you to eat. Where-
I love it all.
uh,
I love all kinds of food. So I love that part of Hawaii.
were you able to try the poke, raw fish?
Yeah, but I eat a lot of poke. I grew up. I just grew up in a time where I grew up. There's a lot of Japanese markets near me. I grew up on manga and anime, so I was like really into eating like Goku. I was like, this is cool. So I love raw fish, man. It's the best.
Also, when you came here, it was probably like, oh, this, I guess, the source.
Yeah, I mean, poke bowls are pretty popular now. Poke bowls are everywhere.
Yeah.
They cost way too much money, but they're very good.
I'm glad you say it right too. So, because there was like some controversy, maybe like 3 years ago, with a restaurant in Chicago, I think it was, where they wanted to trademark Aloha Poke Bowl or something like that, and there was a company here in Honolulu that already was already using that name, but never trademarked it.
Yeah.
Because aloha is not a word that you trademark, and it was a company in Chicago that sent a cease and desist, and Hawaii was just fuming, like, what? Who the hell is trademarking our word?
For one.
It kind of just went away. We still are able to use it. I think they just kind of, it's the cease and desist, I think, was the part that pissed people off. Where it's like,
Of course.
do what you want with the name of your restaurant, but don't tell us not to use that word.
Trademarking's very weird. When like, I had a comedian, I only met him once, and he was like, "Dude, I trademarked Cougar Hunter, and I made 6 figures." And he was like, "Dude, trust me, you got to trademark." And I ran home. I was up that night till 3 a.m, looking through all my jokes for some 2-word phrase, and then I found Aloha Poke Bowl, and I sent a cease and desist to Hawaii. I said, "This is fucking mine now." It just went away, but
Or maybe you can take Cocoa Head. So,
Cocoa Head, sure. I what was the one that's closed down? It's the Stairway to Heaven.
yeah.
Yeah, that one shut down.
It's people still go. It's illegal if you get caught. And the funny thing is, one of the comedians here has a bit about. His name is Kenny Kusaka. Has a bit about because he was kind of like underground or black market tour guide, where it was like a private thing where.
That's like, yeah, that's the guy who takes you to North Korea. Like, here's Pyongyang. I love that. Black market tour. Sign me up.
Yeah, because he would take people there, and it's illegal to go there. But so you get that what do you call that, special touch where he would take you where the locals go, not the tourist trap. But he has a bit about being up there and the handrails and the stairs. I think the stairs. I've never been, but they're metal. And while they were at the top, a lightning storm was coming. So they had to like really book it down because the whole rails, if the lightning hit it, they're all, zapped. So
Well, there you go.
yeah. So be careful when you go to these places. But it's not just the hiking, but also our surf gets really big. So it's very we're not as dangerous as Australia, but it's a pretty dangerous place to go and visit.
Sure. Yeah, I don't want to risk any of that. I was scared of sharks. Very scared of sharks. Is sharks something you're scared of, or you're like, nah, what are the odds?
I'm afraid of them. I actually don't like going into the ocean where I can't touch, I'm walking, and once the water reaches up to my chin, I'm like, that's as far as I'm going.
Sure.
I'm not a fast swimmer. I'm walking into somebody else's yard. It's they if they want to attack me, they have all the advantages. So I went on a little cruise on a yacht. They go out for like coffee cruises, or so they were doing like a promotion thing. The Vita Mia, for those of you who are wondering, went out and people were jumping off, into the ocean, and you can see it, and you can see there's nothing down there. But I still was like, not gonna take that chance, because if there's a shark a mile away, it can swim to me faster than I can get out of this water. So, yeah, I'm the same way. I'm afraid of the ocean creatures.
Sure, you should be.
Yeah.
You're 6'7",
Yeah.
though. What are you supposed to do with the shark? You punch it in the eyes or the nose? Do they teach you
So
that in school?
I think they say to, yeah, third grade they all say, hey, kids, when the sharks attack.
I had a friend. She grew up in Alaska, and they were trained how to deal with moose. You train how to deal with whatever local monster lives in
Right.
the neighborhood. I was trained how to deal with like pedophiles, because there were a lot of them, and you're trained with sharks.
Well, from what I heard, like if you poke them in the eye, that's a bad thing. But also, you hit their nose. I've never been in that situation. I hope I never will be in that situation. But if something came up, that's what I would probably do. I think it's the nose. But when the mouth open, the nose goes up. So I guess you got to come down on it. I'm not sure.
Oh God, I hope I never have to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much who can swim fastest, pretty much after. Like, if it's a group of you trying to get out of there. Let me ask you about, get to know Gianmarco Soresi. I was surprised to find out how many hats you wear. You are a busy person, so I appreciate you taking time off to jump into my podcast here.
Sure.
But you're acting, comedy, and your podcast. But I was surprised with some of the stuff I found on YouTube where you do storytelling.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think that's kind of how I started, because I was an actor first, and before you really understand the mechanics of joke writing, you tell stories. Anyone can tell stories, and then just trying to be like dynamic and concise and edit it down to something that's entertaining. So I just think that was kind of a natural transition from being an actor with no jokes, storytelling. You have a couple jokes in there, and then you make it even tighter until it can work at a comedy club.
so you were an actor first?
That's how I started. I consider myself very much a comedian now. I never thought originally I went to college for musical theater, and I wanted to be a musical theater star. I never was a great singer. I thought I was. I was delusional, and I tried. I tried to be a. People ask me. They say, "Oh, how's the acting career going?" I go, "Great." That's why I switched to stand-up comedy, because I was like, "Well, how many leads in movies can you get before you mix it up?" So I still act when people will have me, but once I fell in love with stand-up, I was like, oh, this is how my mind works. I like doing something every night. I like getting feedback immediately. That's a big part of like why I love the art form. Is like the art is loose and tricky, but with stand-up, you are going for laughs to a certain degree. There's complexities, but laughter is your guide. And I really do love building art with the guide of, is it funny? Is it funny? Is it funny?
Yeah, I do appreciate that about stand-up comedy as well, and I like the challenge. Like, so you're based out of New York. I know, I've never performed in New York, but I guess sometimes you guys have like either like a white room or a black room, or a certain type of people in a certain room is what I hear from other comics. Like I guess like at here in Hawaii, where we have, it's a true melting pot, where I've been in rooms where there's people from Japan here, tourists from Japan, from New York City, and then the locals here vary too. Like from the west side of the island has a different style of humor compared to the east side of the island. So I don't know, is New York like that?
Well, first let me say I had a couple comics before I went to Hawaii, and they were like, they said the locals hate white people, which of course I didn't buy. I thought, they probably just bombed, and they decided to blame an entire state rather than their own jokes. But I don't feel like I really performed for that many locals. I headlined at the Blue Note, and it felt like there was a lot more like people from Vegas, tourists. So I'd love to see for myself. I would love to be in a room that felt hostile towards me and see if I could figure it out. No, I would say New York is definitely. If you go up to Harlem or certain parts of New York, you'll work what people would traditionally in comedy call a black room, where the audience is a majority black people. But there's not really there's no like urban comedy club specifically in New York. The Apollo is like a theater. There's special events there. I feel like in general across the country, and I'm no expert, but I do know that a lot of like urban specific comedy clubs have closed over the years. It's not quite as specific a scene anymore. Certain clubs will have urban night or whatever, and there's always this weird, you call it urban night or black night. And so I do think there's like, if you're performing at the Apollo, it's a different vibe than performing in Brooklyn. I do think we get kind of fairly diverse audiences if you're in Manhattan, which I think is fantastic. I think like if you're working in Harlem, it's definitely a different kind of vibe. I lived in Harlem for like 8 years, and it's like every room is different. Every room has its challenges, its upsides and downsides. All I do know is that like if you crush in a black room, it's for me, that's like the highest form of, that's the best high you're gonna get of just feeling amazing, because it's hard. You have to really just knock it out of the park, and you got to go for it strong. And I hope to never limit myself where I'm not participating in rooms that are not. I don't want to be in some when there's an audience and it's just all people like me, or it's just all white people. That's no fun. That's not fun. It's not interesting. It doesn't allow you to express diverse thoughts. And I hope, I would be honored to be able to participate in what people would call the urban circuit or the black circuit or whatever you want to call it. But that's why when next time I'm in Hawaii, I'd love to be like in a place where it's not tourists. It's always good to mix it up and be with people different than yourself, and I think it only makes you a more interesting artist and comedian.
Oh yeah, it's the that, like I said, the challenge where I can do well in a room full of people that I usually hang out with, but then when I go someplace else and it's like, oh, I got to adjust a few things here and there, they won't get this reference, but sometimes they do. But
sometimes they do. Like, you'd be surprised, but sometimes it's just about like the way you deliver it or the way you own the stage, or just acknowledging the elephant in the room. I do very often. I do. It's a show called Crack 'Em Up. It's in L.A. In the belly room at the Comedy Store, and it's an urban show. And like, if I'm the first white dude on the show, there's a certain crack of just like, well, this feels like a mistake, and you just acknowledge what's going on in the room, and you acknowledge what most of the people are thinking, and after that, it's all fine. It's all fine, and God knows, like, of course, there's a feeling if you are in the minority in a room, you're like, oh, I feel like strange. It feels I'm nervous. Am I going to be good here? And then you remind yourself, especially me as a white person, you're like, well, this is what all my black comic friends have to do when they perform a gig in fucking Connecticut. And they go to the
Right.
country club and they look around and they go, Jesus Christ, everyone here is white and in their 80s. And for me, white and in the 80s feels like just my extended family. But so it's always good. You just gotta mix it up. You gotta push. You gotta challenge. And yeah, very important. It's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Before I continue, Johnny Rocks Hollywood said he hosted your show when you performed here at Blue Note.
Hell yeah. Blue Note, had a great time.
Yeah, that's a really good venue here in Honolulu for stand-up comedy because the way the room is set up compared to other. We don't have a comedy club here in Honolulu, a designated comedy club.
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
Hopefully with Comedy U Hawaii, they're really promoting heavy, trying to give stages to comics, and that's what Jose that you worked with, Jose Dynamite. He has a Comedy U. Go to comedyuhi.com, Comedy Hawaii. They're doing bring us stages for open micers, showcases that'll feature the local comics that are doing well, and also headliners like yourself when they come through. And that's the good thing about Comedy, providing stages for everyone here, and hopefully one day we'll have that comedy club. And that's the other thing I wanted to ask you was do you have a base, like a specific comedy club that you're almost always at, or that you work out material? Or
Yeah, I mean, well, I got passed at the Comedy Cellar this past November, I think, and it was a dream, huge. And, I perform there. Sometimes I'll have a week where I'm here for the weekend and it'll be a lot of spots. Sometimes it's a couple. I'm still new, so you kind of you roll with it. But that's not necessarily the place that I'm working out stuff yet, because I'm still trying to prove I'm reliable. And that's why I, as you move up in the comedy game, shows that maybe used to be more important. Not that I don't go there and shit the bed. I don't go up there and go, what else? But that's where you work out more stuff. And then I remember when I was running a weekly show, very beginning, and there's 15 audience members on a good night, and I was paying the headliner $25, and I bring in someone famous to headline, and they close the show and fucking suck. They would fucking go up and you'd be like, what is going on? And it was because for them, my show was their bottom, and they got to work out stuff somewhere. So they would go there, and not all of them, but they would really be working stuff out, and they wouldn't have a killer set. And that's just part of the nature of the whole game. And there's one of the first clubs I ever worked here called LOL Comedy Club. It can be a tough space. The audience is barked in. The audience didn't know they were going to be at that show until a couple minutes before. Some of them still don't know they're at a show. Some of them are blackout drunk. Some of them are about to commit a crime. Some of them are actively committing a crime. And that's now where I really work out stuff. And it's it makes the art form so tricky, because you want to kill. You want to make sure they know you're good, so they bring you back. But you got to be working out stuff all the time, fine-tuning, elevating. And when you're really doing that, you are bombing sometimes. And it's a constant struggle. It's a constant struggle. It's as I've gone further along, I feel like I'm on more shows where I really have to do well. So the shows that really are valuable to me are those other shows where I get to explore and work out, and I have to take them very seriously, because sometimes, I'm going to do Gilda's Laugh Fest in Michigan next month, and it's like a festival, and I'm going to be performing, I think, 12 15-minute sets over the course of 3 days, but they're recording them all because they're going to use audio chunks of it for Sirius XM. So I can't work out anything for 3 days. For 3 days, which for me, that makes my skin crawl. to not work stuff out. So I gotta figure out those sets. I have to, value that time. Um, and that's what is so nice about like doing hours more and more, because then you really get to kind of control. All right, I'm going to kill for a little, work out a little new, go back to killing, work out a little new. And sometimes you do too much new and you kind of lose them at minute 40, and you just kind of finish that hour with out of breath. But it's that's the best. That's the dream.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now with so I headlined at Blue Note February 2nd, and I did squeeze in like about 5 minutes of new.
Yeah.
I kind of introduced, like I've never done it before, and I kind of introduced the premise. And I was just looking at the crowd's reaction, and then knowing that I had a strong finisher, but I just wanted to see, because for me that's what, like you said, you want to get the laughs. I'm looking at the reaction, like how did they respond to this? Sure. Was this? It was basically I was talking about what I'm introducing is when I grew up, my parents fought a lot, but they didn't fight each other. They beat up a lot of people in our neighborhood, and started to talk about some of the fights, and just to see if somebody my size is talking about violence, how are these people taking it?
Yeah.
Knowing, if somebody smaller was saying it, maybe like a little cute person was saying it, maybe it'd come off different. So that's what I'm always doing. I guess, how does it look? How are they reacting to this giant gorilla saying these things? And, and they kind of, the punchlines they got, but then the story about the fighting, and I was giving the detail about punching, and that looked like it kind of scared them a little.
Sure.
So I was like, I got to keep this more cartoonish, and so now that I did that hour, and I still, like you said, if I was to do, like tonight at the Aloha Comedy Festival, I'm gonna do stuff that I know works.
Sure.
But the past almost 3 weeks, I've been going to these showcases or popping up at open mics and trying the new material, and it's so funny because it's weird too, because you come off this high of, oh, that hour did really well, and then you go and do 10 minutes of brand new, and you're like, ooh, that was rough, but it's part of the process.
It's constant, man. I've seen Bill Burr bomb. I've seen like Bill Burr, who truly, he cranks out so much great material, and he does it on, he has so much material. He's doing it on talk shows and panel, all these things, and this is not me trying to take a slight at Bill Burr, but I've seen him go up in clubs where it's packed. They're so excited to see Bill Burr, and he will work out a bit where it just, it's not popping. And I'm sure the audience is going, what the fuck is going on? And I'm also like, even though he's famous, he's successful, he's beloved, that doesn't mean he doesn't have that same human response inside of him of like, oh, I'm not doing great right now, I should pivot to old material. Bill Burr could kill anytime he wants, and he still has to overcome that, I'm sure, and maybe it gets better as you get older, but I don't think so, of that feeling of like, I'm letting people down, people aren't laughing, I should go do something that works. But I just, and again, I haven't seen him that much, or I don't know him personally, but I'm like, that's why he's so prolific, is that he's able to push himself to work out new when he can. I heard someone tell a story of him working out new, for a theater, for 1,000 people, or that takes some cojones, and he's got it. I think.
Well, Kevin Hart talks about going to clubs and trying new stuff, and then going to theaters and still like molding the new stuff and preparing it for arenas. And I'm like, wow, that level that he's at. And he's using theaters to prepare for arenas and stadiums. I'm like, that's insane, that level that he's at. That's crazy.
Yeah.
One day we'll be there, Gianmarco. One day.
Someday.
So, the other thing I want to ask you, because you do travel to do comedy, and I've talked to a bunch of comics and asked them about their crazy road stories. Talked to Graham Elwood in a previous episode where he was, and this is back, I think, like in the '90s or something. Led to was going with a woman to someplace and ended up in like a cabin out in the woods, and it was like I could die here.
Right.
So he ended up escaping. He says. So, do you have any? And it can be, it doesn't have to be that
Yeah.
dark, but
No, I went to go to a corporate gig last year. It was in Santa Barbara, California, and my mom lives in LA, so she drove me because I want her to see what I do professionally, and I don't have a driver's license. And as we get close to the gig, that's when I start looking up about what this company. I'm like, let's look up this company, see if I can write some quick jokes. And I'm only featuring, so I only do 25 minutes. I think I was getting paid like $4,000. I think it's probably the most I've ever been paid for a gig still. And 25 minutes of material, easy peasy. I can do that. But I look up this company and I look at their newsletter, and it's like clearly a very conservative, right wing company. And I found out from the headlines. The headlines were like, "Worry about the intellectual climate, not climate change." Here's how wokeness has ruined travel culture. Uh, our 10 least favorite Jews. And I was like, oh my God, this is my mom and I are about to be 11 and 12. And we get to the casino, and sure enough, it's like 600 men. They're all wearing cowboy hats, and they're like the kind of cowboy. They look like they're a cowboy, but they've never even been in the same room as a horse. Like, it's a very specific kind of like Southern guy. And the head of the festival, he comes up to me, and what's so weird is he's incredibly nice. He gives me the check. He's like, "We're so thankful you're here," and I thought, if you knew my views, the only thing you'd ever hire me for is like target practice. And he breaks down the rundown for the evening. He's like, okay, first, like all the comedy shows, we're going to sing the national anthem. Then there's an auction, and then the comedy show. And the auction was all guns. They started auctioning off like Glock 19s. They auctioned off a Glock 19 for $20,000, which that really upset me because it was way more than they were paying me. And I kept thinking to myself, like, oh, I feel bad. I feel guilty that I'm doing this. Should I make a joke at their expense? And then I was like, well, they all just bought guns, so maybe that's not a good idea. And right as they brought me up, I saw the playbill, and it said the comedy portion of that night was being sponsored by ExxonMobil. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, okay, I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm too pissed off. I went in the green room. I cashed the check, of course. And then I went on stage. And the joke I told, I have this joke. There's this thing they're building called Titanic 2. It's this Australian billionaire. He's recreating the Titanic. It's going to go along the exact same route as the original because global warming made it safer. And that's like the way I start the joke normally. But for this time on stage, it said, oh, it's going to go along the exact same route as the original because the icebergs got a lot smaller thanks to my sponsor, ExxonMobil. And this room just started booing. And I'd never been booed by like 600 people all at once. And I didn't know what to do. And that's when I saw my mom by the exit with a Glock 19. Like, let's go, motherfucker. To me, that gig was, it wasn't the hardest gig I've ever done, but it was the one where I was like, what are my morals? What are my principles? Is this okay? And I like the boo. In truth, I was booed, but like in a fun way, and where I was like, screw you guys, take a joke. And I think it was fun, but I don't know if the organizer of the event enjoyed it necessarily. He didn't come up to me and say "fuck you," but the guy who headlined it, very cool comedian, he's been doing it for 7 years, and like I don't think I will be invited back, which I think is good. I think it's like you gotta you gotta take those risks sometimes, and
Hmm.
I still don't think it's a great thing that I did. I think maybe I should do more research in the future. Or you do the gig and you make fun of them, and you go, well, they're going to hire somebody. At least, be true to myself while entertaining. Who knows? But
I
uh,
mean, there's no set rules. I mean, I love and I hate corporate gigs in that the pay is amazing, but it's not stand up. It's basically like you're hosting a show, like an award show or something, and you have to be. And that's why I don't. People ask me, "Hey, can you host my wedding, or do you do parties? Like they're hiring a clown. You're like, can you do my daughter's my first birthday party?" I'm like, "Is there gonna be kids there? Have
yeah,
you seen me perform?" It's like, I know we're friends, but have you been to a show? It's not kid friendly. Would you hire Chris? I'm not saying I'm Chris Rock, but would you hire Chris Rock to come and talk to your kids?
sure.
So but the pay again, amazing. I think like I did. Oh no, I did a Christmas party, and the venue. I knew already right off the bat that this is gonna be horrible, because the place they booked me to perform at, it was a Christmas party for this company, and it was at a sports bar. And I was like, "There's no stage there. They even have bowling in there. Is this gonna?" I got there and they had like four tables that were together, and that was the stage. They wanted me to climb. I had a hard time getting like, it was like almost like WWE wrestling's height, where I couldn't step up, and I got long legs. I couldn't step up and climb up. I had to like go in the back and behind the stage and then roll up and then stand up.
Amazing. Amazing.
I was like, this is gonna go bad, but I'm gonna finish my time because I was paid to do my time. Did you finish your time at that show?
Yeah, I mean, I did that Exxon Mobil joke right at the end. Again, it was only 25, and so I've done it. It was definitely a tough room because there wasn't a host, so I was going up pretty cold. Um, and it was just like I would say the median age was probably 60, and it was all
Oh,
white, all conservative, uh, and like people who don't, I'm Jewish, like people who don't necessarily even interact with Jews, so I can't like talk about that or there's just like, and sometimes you get like stuck in your head when I start worrying about like, oh, will this joke work here? Will this joke work here? Like sometimes my mind becomes so frantic. All of a sudden I
yeah.
10 minutes and I'm like, I've run out of material, and I haven't. There's no way that's true, but in the moment you feel your tunnel vision get weirder and weirder and weirder, and it was a tough show. I didn't like crush or anything. I did fine, uh, but I was proud that I did that joke. I was proud. I would have been. I would not have felt good about myself if I did not go for that.
Yeah, I mean, take the challenge. It's funny because I did one event, was a fundraiser, not knowing how rich the people were in the room. The host came up to me while I was in the green room, and he was like, "Holy shit! There's some rich people in here. There's people that own this and this and this, and just naming them off." I'm like, "Wow!" And they're doing a fundraiser, and they hired comedians. So I get up and I'm doing my set. It normally does well, and I'm wondering. I was like, I'm going. I was like, man, it's not hitting right. What's going on? And I started talking about, because I used to be a city bus driver, and I started talking about the city bus, and then I just looked. It's like these people aren't with me. So I was like, you know what? Who am I kidding? You guys don't know what I'm talking about because you guys have never been in a city bus before, you know. And then I was like, you guys are so rich. You guys probably run out of gas, and you just buy another car that has gas in it. And they start, and the roar came. And I started roasting them, and it was so weird. I was like, man, I guess it's kind of like, you know, where you have it all, but nobody talks shit to you.
Yeah. Of course.
And I just started letting have it, and they were enjoying it. And I was like, oh, this is what those dominatrix feel like when they get those rich politicians to come in, and then they just start smacking them around. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm a whore or I'm a slut. What's going on? So the other thing I wanted to ask you, like, I guess with traveling and booking gigs, and this is for a lot of the comics that watch this podcast or listen to the podcast here in Hawaii. The difficult part is because we're detached from the States. So as far as booking gigs, do you have a manager or an agent, or do you do most things yourself?
I have a full team now. Luckily, it kind of started with acting. That's how I kind of learned how that all worked, and then eventually got a touring agent, and then a manager who is really specific to comedy, or it was my manager Rick Thorfinn was John Mulaney's first manager, I believe, and other folks. So yeah, but like it wasn't like they just got me dates out the gate. Like I came to the table with a lot in terms of I'd broken into some clubs. I was headlining Comics Mohegan Sun and Epic Gate because I won a competition there. So I started getting some stuff on my own. I did a storytelling show on PBS, and I still will reach out to clubs, but the agent and manager combined have opened up a shitload of doors. I said I'm going to Honolulu. I'm going to Hawaii for a wedding. I want to do a gig there, and they figured out Blue Note. That was not me who got that done. And as I grow, they do a lot more because they can't work magic though. They get ghosted by comedy clubs all the time, and now I'm starting to build the facilities and the team. I have a social media manager. I have a PR person. Like starting to build to a place where I can sell tickets, and then when you can sell tickets, you open up some new doors. And now, maybe a comedy club that would never have gone back to me will give me through my agent a Thursday night, and then I got to put in money to sell it and do promo and do all sorts of wacky shit to sell tickets. And then maybe if I do that, they go, okay, we'll give them a weekend, but the weekend of the 9/11, we'll give them the September 11th weekend where no one wants to see comedy. And I'm like, okay, thank you so much, thank you. And then you sell that one, okay, and then you move up. So this year in terms of touring, it's a tough business, but in terms of touring, I start feeling it feels very cool. Working a lot of clubs, I've always wanted to, going a lot more places. Some of them pay well, some of them pay fucking garbage. But I want to break into these clubs, so I make the money where I can. I do all sorts of online stuff that gets me money, acting gigs, and if I have to work a small room to get into a club for the first time, great. And then the next time around, I can say, "Hey, you gotta give me something better than this because I'm losing money." But I'm still at a place. I'm fortunate with social media and weird Facebook payments and TikTok payments. I'm able to survive. And my priority is I want stage time. I would rather perform for longer for less money than shorter for more money. I want that time. I want to get better. And I believe if you're strong, if your comedy is fucking brutally strong, the rest of the shit will come. And I hope I can live by those principles as all the distractions come up.
Well, and looking at your comedy, your style, And going off of what I know, I mean, you're up there in New York, so you see a lot of comics, a shitload of comics. But you stand out. You're very unique. Your name alone, you can't confuse you with anybody else.
True.
So it's a lot of, as far as marketing goes, a lot of pluses. But I was impressed by when I was doing research and getting to know you, and everything was through social media, your website as well. How many things that you've done and how many things you've done well. And I remember seeing some of those Blue Bloods episodes, and then it's like, I didn't know that was him. You're like, I guess it's so funny because every time Tom Selleck sees you, he's kind of like,
He's very rude.
this asshole.
He always like, excuse me, you fucking idiot. How dare you ask me that?
The mustache does the talking after. It's like,
He's a very nice
But-
guy. Very nice guy.
yeah. Because my parents watch that show a lot, and my mom still watches it, and so I remember I'm there and I watch it, and I was like, I didn't know that was it. But also the sketches that you were in, I was watching one earlier where you were the fight coordinator.
Yeah.
And
I love this guy.
that was so I'm getting into doing sketch stuff, and it's just so that you have content online, you get more followers, and get more clicks. When I saw that, and then I was like, okay. And when I thought it ended, it actually was just starting. So after it started to give away, but then after she gives up the purse, that's when it really started. It was like,
Yeah.
holy shit! And then everybody's coming in, and then I was like, that's when it went to an amazing level. So like, what I'm saying is like, that would have been my punchline, and it would have ended.
Yeah.
But you guys took it and just went 1,000 times higher, and it was so much more funny. And it started showing the training that was involved. It was hilarious. And was it matzah?
Lots of pizza, Jewish, Italian. That was.
So.
I was really proud of that fighting one. I had a fantastic team that helped put all that together. But yeah, that was before I was doing stand up. I was an actor. I got a big commercial gig, and I was like, let's use all this money to film some sketches. And I learned a lot from that series. But that fight call PSA is definitely one of my prouder ones.
That was amazing. Because here in Hawaii, in our scene, we have a lot of, and it's so funny because everybody says maybe it's us stand-up comedians being stuck up, but when somebody says they're a comedian, and then it's like, oh yeah, where have you performed? And they say, oh, I make videos on Instagram,
Sure.
and then the stand-up comedian is like, oh, then you're not a comedian, but technically they are. It's just we stand-up comedians have to remember we're stand-up comedians, so we do stand-up, and so here we have a lot of local comics or comedians that do sketch comedy, and only one actually does live stand-up.
Yeah.
And that dude is crushing ticket sales.
Really?
Yeah, so that Blue Note, he did like 20 something sold out shows.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then he did the Blaisdell Concert Hall, which has a little over 2,000, maybe like 2,200, 2,400 seats, and he sold 3 shows out in hours.
Amazing.
Yeah, and now he's gonna tour the Western states, and it all started from he went to University of Hawaii to become an actor. He was taking acting classes, and then somebody was doing, I guess, like he was going to be a teacher, and he had to come up with a class, and then he made a stand-up comedy class that my friend ended up taking. Yeah, it's weird.
Well, if he's ever in New
And
York,
then got in.
tell him to reach out to me. I'll have him on my podcast here. We record.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, let him know.
Yeah, he's so he's what do you call it? Gets into stand-up, and then the pandemic hits, and it makes a sketch video that just blows up. A broadcast company in Australia bought the rights to it.
Incredible.
I know. I was like, man, what's happening? And just watching him just take off, and he's only 26 years old, and we're like, he's just got that fast forward pass.
Yeah.
It's amazing. His name is Tumua Tuine, and awesome guy. Definitely connect you with him because, man, he's just blowing up, and so he's gonna start experiencing the touring, and then and he has a manager. Doesn't have an agency yet, but that's why I wanted to ask you, like, what was your process? Because I'm kind of at a point where it's like, do I give a manager 10% of my $20, or is it worth it?
My manager doesn't take 10% unless it's a gig of substantial value. I do have to tell you, I do have to head out pretty soon. I got to get ready for a show tonight. But I
really appreciate it.
I'll say I think it's always good to get a team around you, and your first team is not necessarily going to be your final team, or it might be if they're really good. So I always think it's good to work with people as long as you're not getting ripped off. I've always said that what's 10% of zero. Who cares what you're giving away? So but feel free. Advice I can give you, just ask on Instagram. I'll write you back.
I will. I appreciate you taking the time before you go and perform. Thank you so much, Gianmarco Soresi. Those of you out there, check him out. Check out his website. You'll find all his social media links. Thank you so much. Take care and aloha.
Aloha. Take care.
And that's Gianmarco Soresi, ladies and gentlemen. What an awesome guy. Let's go check out the Comedy Corner, see what the people got to say. Jordan, what's up, Jordan? From Washington, paying attention. Thank you for the what's up and the shaka. Tumua. Yep. Sean Joseph Takil Kaha Okalani Chu. I know him as Sean Chu, and he put that whole middle name in there. I have to make sure I said it right because he has the that. What is that called? You guys can comment. You can put that. What is that called? Kaha Okalani. Thank you guys for tuning in. Very educational for comedians out there or people who want to, get to know what comedians go through. So, Gianmarco is a touring comic. He was here last year at Blue Note. Thank you to Jose for inviting him into the Hawaii Comedy Podcast with James Mane. If you guys are interested in doing stand-up comedy or want to see stand-up comedy done here, support the local comedy scene. We don't have a stand-up comedy club, or we should, because we have a lot of talented comedians. Some of them had to move to the States to get work. You got people like Kermit Apio, Paul Ogata, Sean Felipe, David Lee. All these guys are doing stand-up comedy up in the States. We don't get a place. We might end up losing Tumua. Tumua might move to the mainland. Let's see. Apostrophe. No, not the apostrophe. The other part. The apostrophe is the Okina, right? The thing that makes it a long sound. So here, let's pull up his name again. This thing here, Kaha Okalani. So it's that thing that makes it a long sound. Thank you so much. So, although you guys out there, the Kahako, that's what it's called. Thank you, Kahako. I know that, man. I apologize to Hawaii people out there and people that know English, because a Macron in English. But is it Macron or Macron? See, I just made it Spanish. Okay, man, it's a Macron. Unless she misspelled macaroni. But no, seriously, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, meet and greet today, 3 p.m. It's free, Queen Kapilani Hotel. Maybe the catch is the parking. The parking is like $30 an hour. No, I don't know. I think you can park at the zoo, but you got to pay for parking. So Aloha Comedy Festival tonight at the meet and greet starts at 3 p.m. Queen Kapilani Hotel. I'll be there. Then I perform 7:30 at Next Door in Chinatown and 9:30 at Manifest. The only way we can build up the comedy scene is by having the people support. So come on out, have a good time, don't heckle, and enjoy the comedians. Thanks again to Gianmarco Soresi for blessing us with his presence before he had to go on stage. It's almost 6 o'clock over there, so he's about to get on stage soon. He has to get ready for a performance. Please share the podcast, let people know about it. I've been posting clips on my Facebook, Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter. Share them so that people can find the podcast, come here. They can, maybe subscribe and maybe donate so that the podcast can continue going. It takes a lot of electricity to get all these lights to work, man. Thank you guys for tuning in live. The next show is Monday night at 7 p.m. Hawaii time, unless I do a special pop-up episode, which is why you should subscribe on YouTube and click that notification button so you can get that notification saying, hey, your friend James Mane is live. Boom. All right, you guys take care. Have an awesome Aloha Comedy Festival weekend. Maui, I'll see you Saturday. Save me some Krispy Kreme donuts, because I'm coming for you. Going to be opening for 2 more at the Mac Saturday night. Thank you all. Oh, shucks. I just forgot. All right, there we go. Boom, boom. Okay, this part will be edited out in the audio version. So I have to go check on my food downstairs. I gotta stop doing that. I gotta come up with if you guys can comment a new outro for me, like the Nerdist used to say, enjoy a burrito. I gotta come up with something clever, like a sign off. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Help me out. Comment. Let me know. All right. Because I'm out of here.